comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I'm in Kolar for this wedding. It's spelt Kolar if you want to check it out. It's actually a little bit of a historical town because the Kolar goldfields are pretty close to here. That's where I think the British, but then mainly the Germans came here and just raped all the gold from the fields, Kolar gold fields. And then I think after independence, actually, the gold mines got nationalized and ended up producing fuck all. Again, like Atlas Shrugged. But the mines have been around since the 1800s. So the house I'm in is 200 years old. It's my father-in-law's ancestral home, and they fucking don't build them like they used to. I can tell you right now. The fucking walls of this joint are like 5 or 6 bricks thick. Every wall. Fucking outside walls, inside walls, everywhere. The wood in the house is just fucking hard wood as well. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know how they chop these trees down, but it's just strong, solid wood that's been here for like 200 years as well. And I was looking at the stairs. The carpentry work is just plumb as fuck. And that's been here for 200 years as well. There might be a little bit of echo today because I'm in one of the spare rooms and there's no... Well, it's a fucking 200-year-old house. There's a well out the back. I forgot about the well. There's a fucking well. Surely a well in your backyard like 200 years ago is a sign of prosperity. It's a big fucking well too. It's deep. A well in your backyard in India in like 1822 is like a fucking infinity pool. It's actually better than an infinity pool because it's actually keeping your fucking family alive. Hey, come around, check out me well. Bring a cup. They probably didn't have cups back then. Just cup your hand, cunts. Everyone downstairs can hear what I'm saying, but none of them speak even a scrap of English, so it's all good. But this is one of those places you just wish you could have seen 200 years ago. It would have been so much different. It's still old school, but fucking, just like everything else in India, it's been trashed a bit. I would have loved to have seen it when it was all just grass and cows and the fucking well was operational. The well had fucking just clear water in there. Now, I walked past this place just before and some cunt just threw a fucking wheelchair in a pile of rubbish. I think he just started that pile of rubbish. He just walked along, just dumped it. And then I came back about fucking half an hour later and cunts were just dumping shit on the wheelchair. Like spare wheels, fucking bottles. It was like he just started a garbage pit with the wheelchair. I couldn't even see the wheelchair by the time I got back. And it wasn't just the same crew throwing shit. It was just people walking by. And it was like in the driveway of a house as well. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know how the fuck they're going to clean this joint up. India, I mean, the whole fucking thing. It's turning into a full-blown garbage pit. Even the Rapido guy that picked me up last night. Rapido's the Uber, but for motorbikes. And it is so fucking good. They come so fast. They turn up, they just throw you a fake helmet. Like a helmet kids would play with. Like pretending to be like a police officer or something. Like barely even plastic. And they're like, jump on, I'll take you to where you're going. And it's like half the price. It takes half the time. If you want to see India, you want to see India on a bike. I forgot how good it is cruising around India on a bike. Even if you're just on the back, it's just so much fucking better. So the first Rapido guy picked me up last night to take me to this gig. And he's like, where are you from? I'm like, Australia. And he's like, Australia is clean, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, there's not all this rubbish. I'm like, nah, it's not like here. He's like, it's fucking disgusting here. So much rubbish, so much rubbish. I'm like, yeah. The people must be getting sick of it. It's full on. It's fucking getting worse as well, obviously. Eventually they're going to run out of places to dump rubbish because it's fucking everywhere already. And no one seems to give a fuck. It's quite depressing, actually. And it's not just that, it's all the fucking construction going on here. and none of it makes fucking sense either. They're just popping shit up anywhere. The roads are fucking getting torn up. There's big problems in India. Anyway, this dude dropped me off at this gig. I didn't actually have a gig there. I just was like, oh, I'll just turn up, say hi to the guys. I know the guy who runs it, so I was like, fucking, he'll throw me up anyway. And I get there, and I walk in, and it's at the bakery. It's it's at a fucking bakery upstairs. So you can imagine what it's like. All the gigs in India are fucked now. Like, this is a gig, the Indian comedians are like, this is a pretty good gig now. I did it last year. I've been down there like 3 times now, and it's just the saddest gig I've ever seen. So I turn up there last night. I go upstairs. I'm expecting it to be like packed, and I walk in, and there's 3 confused chicks watching this one. I don't know who the comedian was, but he was so sad looking. He was so fucking depressed. I'm like, oh my God, it sent shudders down my fucking spine. And unfortunately, he saw me and he's like, come in. And the whole crowd look at me. And I'm like, nah. He's like, no, come in. We've got a comedy show happening here. And I'm like, that is not what's happening here. A comedy show is not going on here. I'm like, no, it's all right. I'm good. And he's like, no, come in, like a desperate comedian. Like, come in, no, sit down. We've got a show going. There's going to be more comedians. I'm like, no. He's like, come in. I'm like, I'm a comedian, man. It's all good. He's like, oh, no, not another one. It was the saddest interaction. And then the 3 confused girls are like looking at him, looking back at me. I'm like, good luck tonight, guys. Good luck. And I got the fuck out of there. Fucking bleak. But I'm out at Kolar now. It's a change of fucking scenery. And we've got the wedding in about 2 hours. The reception. Should be a bit of fun. It's just such a cool place, Kolar. It's like one of those places that you just would never come unless you're like married to someone who has relatives here. I can't imagine a fucking Swedish tourist just rocking up to Kolar. Just getting the bus into town, just getting dumped here, and then trying to find a room. I have not seen it. There's no hotels here. I don't know where you would fucking stay. You would have to speak to someone at like a chai store and just go, I want somewhere to stay. And then possibly they would just say, stay at my house, and they'd take you to their house and charge you whatever the fuck they want. They would think they're ripping you off by charging you like 150 rupees, which is $3. It'd be wild just rolling into this town by yourself. I don't know what the fuck you would do. I don't know what I would do now if I just walked out the door and started walking around. Anyway, fucking no Boyle Breaks history today. I'm going to get it done tomorrow. I should have just done the Kolar Goldfields. Anyway, I'll get it done tomorrow. That'll do for today. If you're enjoying the podcast, give it a share around, and I'll see you the fuck later.